The scream wasn't loud. It was sharp, cut short, like someone had clamped a hand over her mouth. Alina froze in the hallway of her apartment building. Her son tucked against her hip, his tiny fingers gripping her jacket. The lights flickered once, twice, and then the crash came. Glass shattering, too close. Her breath trembled. No, please, not tonight. Another slam. A voice she feared more than death. Alina, I know you're here. Her ex. She didn't move, didn't breathe. Her son's heart beat fast against her chest. She pressed a hand over his head, shielding him instinctively. Then, the worst kind. A shadow shifted at the far end of the corridor. Heavy steps. Slow. Familiar. Predatory. Alina backed up, pulse shredding her ribs. He found me. He found us again. Her heel hit the stair rail. She had nowhere left to go. Don't run. Her ex hissed, his voice low, to calm. You know what happens when you run. Her son whimpered. She swallowed hard, forcing her voice steady. Please, don't do this. He's just a child. I don't care. And then another sound echoed through the hallway. Boots, 2 sets. But the new steps didn't rush. They stalked at her. Ex turned, annoyed. Who the hell? A man stepped out from the shadows. Black coat, unmoving expression, cold eyes that said he'd seen more violence than anyone should. Elena's breath caught. The Mafia boss, Domenico De Luca, that the man whispered about in every corner of the city. The man whose name made grown criminals shut up. The man no one wanted as an enemy. Her ex blinked hard. You, what are you doing here? The Mafia boss didn't answer, didn't need to. His eyes moved once to Alina, once to the small boy in her arms, once to the broken glass on the floor. Calculation, recognition, a silent verdict forming. Alina tightened her grip on her son. I don't know why he's here. I don't know that man. I swear. Her ex laughed, shaking. Boss, I didn't know she's no one. Just a problem. I got it handled. Domenico's head tilted slowly. Not a question, a warning. Her ex's voice cracked. It's just personal business. A pause, stillness. Then Domenico spoke soft, deadly. Not anymore. Elena's stomach dropped. Her ex stepped back, panic flickering. Boss, wait. Domenico didn't look at him again. He looked only at her. At her trembling arms, her shaking breath, her son's tear-streaked face. Give me the boy, he said quietly. Elena's heart stopped. What? Your hands are shaking, he murmured. You can't run like that. Her ex lunged. Elena gasped. Domenico moved first. A single step, a single strike, a single thud of a body hitting the wall. Her ex slid to the floor, choking, breath stolen. Silence. Heavy, uneasy. Domenico extended his hand toward her. Do you want him to get up again? He asked. And for the first time that night, Alina didn't know whether to fear him or trust him. Alina didn't realize she was shaking until Domenico's shadow blocked the kitchen light. You're safe here, he said, quietly. Safe. The word felt unreal in her mouth. She sat at his table, wrapped in one of his dark shirts, because her torn one lay in a pile near the sink. His home was too clean, too silent, too big for someone like her. A Mafia boss lived. Harriet, the man in front of her, placed a steaming mug in her hands, like he was afraid she might break. Drink, he murmured. Her fingers tightened around the warmth. I didn't know where else to go. That's why you did the right thing. She almost laughed. Running to a criminal wasn't the right thing. It was just the only thing. Domenico leaned against the counter, arms crossed, eyes never leaving her face. He was still dressed in the same suit he'd worn when he found her in the hallway, jacket discarded, sleeves rolled up. There was a smear of her blood on his forearm. He hadn't bothered to wash it off. He didn't seem aware of it. Or maybe he didn't care. You said your ex was close, he said. How close? Alina hesitated. Here it was. He was waiting outside my building, she whispered. He knows where I work. He's been watching for days. I didn't tell anyone because, she swallowed hard, because he always finds a way in. Domenico's jaw flexed, a tiny crack in his control. Did he touch you yesterday? His voice dropped lower. Tell me the truth. She looked away. Silence stretched. Her silence was her answer. Domenico exhaled through his nose, slow and lethal. I should have ended this years ago. Her head snapped up. You know him. Another crack. A bigger one. Domenico stilled. I knew him once. Elena's pulse stumbled. She didn't know what that meant, but it felt heavy, dangerous, connected. He stepped closer. Just one measured pace, but it changed everything. Look at me. She did. She couldn't not. No one gets to hurt you when you're under my roof. His tone wasn't loud, but it carried something she hadn't felt in years, certainty. The same certainty that terrified her. You don't even know me, she whispered. I know enough. Soft final dot. Her heart twisted. A blind spot. She mistook his intensity for temporary kindness, not realizing it was already becoming fixation. The mug warmed her hands, a small symbol of calm in a world on fire. Then a faint sound outside, a scrape against the metal gate. Domenico's head lifted instantly. The soft disturbance. Stay here, he said, voice turning to steel. Alina sat frozen as he moved toward the front door, silent and controlled, a predator slipping back into the darkness he lived in. But the last thing she saw was his hand brushing the gun at his back. Her safety was already cracking. Her son was asleep in the spare room. The apartment was quiet, too quiet. Alina stood in the middle of the living room, arms wrapped around herself, as if her own skin needed holding. Domenico moved slowly around the space, checking locks, windows, blind spots. He didn't ask permission. He acted like protection was his job, like she belonged under his hands. When he finished, he turned to her. You shouldn't have come back here alone tonight. Her breath caught. There it was, irritation, fear, control mixed so tightly she couldn't separate them. I didn't have a choice, she whispered. You did. His voice softened, and that was somehow worse. You could have called me. She looked away. I barely know you. You'll know enough. Silence stretched, thick, uncomfortable, charged. She tried to push past him toward the kitchen, but he stepped aside only halfway, forcing her to brush against him. His body went still. So did hers. Your ex, he said quietly. He's not just angry, he's prepared. Her spine stiffened. What makes you say that? Military precision. The way he tracked you. The timing. A beat. Then, softly, I've seen men like him. A confession. Small, but real. She swallowed. You make it sound like you already know him. He didn't answer immediately. Another silence, this one heavier. I've crossed paths with men like him, he said carefully. The type who think women are property, who think fear is loyalty. Her fingers trembled. She hated that he saw it. And what do you think? She asked, forcing strength into her voice. He looked at her like the answer mattered too much. I think, he said, stepping closer, that fear shouldn't live in a woman's eyes. Not because of a man, not ever. Her chest tightened. She hadn't expected that. Not from him. Not from a mafia boss with blood on his hands. She turned away too fast. I don't want to talk about him. That's the problem. His tone was low. He counts on your silence. She froze. Something old, worn, bruised cracked inside her. My silence kept my son alive. She hadn't meant to say it. The words ripped out of her like a wound reopening. Domenico went still. Completely still. Alina. Her name was a warning. A vow. A shift. She shook her head, backing toward the hallway. I shouldn't have said that. I'm tired. I need space. He stepped forward once, instinctively, but stopped himself, catching the frame of the kitchen counter like he had to physically restrain his own body from following her. Another confession lived in the air. Unspoken, Alina, he said again, quieter. He hurt you more than you let anyone see. She flinched, and that was her mistake, because he saw it, all of it. His jaw clenched, his voice dropped. Tell me what he did. I can't. Barely a whisper. Why? Because once I say it out loud, it becomes real. His breath left him in a slow, controlled exhale. Then let it be real, he murmured, so I can end it. Her heart stuttered. That's not your job. It is now. Silence settled between them, thicker than anything so far. She reached the guest room door, hand trembling on the knob. Good night, she whispered. He didn't move. Good night, Alina. She closed the door, leaned against it, tried to breathe. On the other side, he stood in the hallway, jaw tight, breath sharp, knowing he'd let her get under his skin, knowing he couldn't pull back now. The apartment felt too quiet. For the first time tonight, Alina let her shoulders soften. Matteo was asleep in the spare room. Domenico's men guarded the hallway. The city hummed below like a living wall between her and the man who once owned her fear. You're safe here, Domenico said, setting a mug of warm tea in front of her. False reassurance. It settled like a blanket, too soft, too easy. She tried to believe him, tried to let the warmth reach her hands, but her fingers trembled and she hid them under the table. Thank you, she whispered. He didn't look away. You don't have to thank me for protecting you, or your son. A small, aching moment hung in the air, then a soft tap on the door. Not a knock, not a guard's signal, a tap. Domenico froze. His eyes slid to the door, then to the camera feed mounted beside it. Elena's pulse began to claw its way up her throat. Stay here. His voice fell into that cold, disciplined register she had only heard once, when he'd lifted her son out of chaos. He moved to the screen, stopped. Elena rose halfway from her chair. What is it? He didn't answer. Silence stretched sharp as a blade. Dom, she whispered. He stepped aside. She saw the camera. The hallway was empty, but the door chained, the one he'd locked, himself hung loose. The metal was snapped clean, as if twisted by bare hands. Her breath left her. He opened the door slowly. Gun drawn, on the floor lay a toy car. Matteo's toy car. The one she always kept in her purse because it calmed him. Her purse was still on the table. Elena grabbed the doorframe, the world tilting under her feet. How did it get out there? Domenico crouched, jaw rigid, lifting the toy with 2 fingers. His silence wasn't confusion. It was recognition. He's been here. The words scraped out of him. Your ex didn't just follow you. He knew this building, this level, this hallway. Her stomach dropped. Why would he? Because he's done this before. Domenico stood slowly. 2 women trying to leave him. Elena's hand flew to her mouth. Another silence. This one from her. The silence of someone who had lived this pattern, felt it, survived it. Domenico turned the toy over. Something gleamed on the underside. A razor-thin scratch, carved deliberately. A single line, a warning he'd understand. Elena sank into the doorway, legs weak. He got close to Matteo's room. She whispered, didn't he? Domenico didn't lie. He didn't soften. He was inches from your son. Her breath shattered, and the hallway light flickered. Once, as if the danger exhaled against the walls, she found him in the hallway, leaning against the wall, hands stained with dirt, jaw locked tight. He didn't look at her when she approached, and that was the first sign something had cracked. Dominic, her voice shook. What happened? He didn't answer, not until she stepped closer, close enough to feel the heat rolling off him. They were watching the house, he said quietly. 2 men, same description you gave me. Her stomach dropped. The police, she whispered. No. His eyes finally met hers, black, sharp, unforgiving. Your ex. The hallway seemed to tilt under her feet. A breath, a tremor, a truth rising. He wants you scared, Dominic continued. He wants you to run. He wants control. His tone roughened. And he wants me dead. Her throat closed. I never meant to put you in this. You didn't. 1 step toward her, then another. He did. The distance between them evaporated, tension filling the air like electricity before a storm. She swallowed. Dominic, what are you going to do? His answer was immediate, instinctive, terrifying. Whatever keeps you alive. She felt the floor again, felt her pulse slam against her ribs. Don't say that, she whispered. What? His voice lowered. Because it scares you, or because part of you believes me. Silence got heavy, thick, dangerous. He stepped even closer, his breath brushing her cheek. He came to your workplace today. Her heart stopped. What? Your coworker texted me the second he saw a man lingering near the back exit. Dominic's jaw flexed. You think I don't notice when someone threatens what's mine? Her breath caught. Her body answered before her mind did. Heat, fear, recognition. I'm not yours, she whispered, but even to her own ears, it sounded like a hope, not a boundary. Dominic's eyes softened. Barely, but enough. That's your problem, he murmured. You think claiming you makes you weak. He leaned in. You haven't figured out that it makes me weak. Her chest tightened. A confession hovered on her lips. My ex. He told me once that no one would ever protect me, she whispered. That if I left him, I'd die alone. Dominic's expression darkened not with anger at her, but with something deeper, older. Listen carefully, he said, voice quiet but lethal. No one dies on my watch. No one touches what I stand over. His code, raw, exposed, unmistakable. Protection is owed, not requested. She felt it settle into her bones. She had a choice, run again, or step into the danger with the only man who had ever stood between her and death. Her fingers trembled, then closed around his wrist. Active choice. I'm staying, she whispered. With you, for the first time tonight. His breath faltered, a small, almost imperceptible shift, and then silence. Not cold, not distant, the kind that changes everything. Dominic stood in the doorway, silent, watching her breathe. She didn't notice him at first. She was too busy staring at the photo he placed on the table, a photo she should have never seen. Her ex, standing beside Dominic, same uniform, same crew, same night. Her fingers trembled. What is this? Dominic didn't move, didn't blink, didn't soften. It's the first lie, he said quietly, and the one you needed to see. She shook her head, backing up a step like the floor tilted. My ex worked for you. No, he would have told me. He didn't tell you because he wasn't supposed to. Dominic stepped closer. That night, the night he almost killed you, he wasn't acting alone. Cassie froze. Her heartbeat thudded, slow, heavy. Wrong. What do you mean? She whispered. Dominic reached into a drawer and slid a sealed envelope toward her. Her name was on the front, not his handwriting, not her ex's either. This was taken from one of his storage units, Dominic said. Yours, hidden, locked under his name. She opened it with shaking hands. Inside, a recording tape, a single photograph of her, taken from across the street, a note. When she leaves you, you take her down. When she runs, you break him too. Him. Her eyes lifted slowly. Dominic watched the realization hit her. You. Her voice cracked. The silence that followed was long, heavy, crushing. That's the part you didn't know, Dominic said, jaw tightening. He wasn't after just you. He came after me long before he touched you. Cassie stumbled back a step. You knew him before I met him. Dominic closed the distance. He was fired for putting his hands on someone he shouldn't have. He blamed me, said I ruined his future. He started following me, leaving threats, watching my men, and then he met me. She whispered. Dominic nodded once. That wasn't an accident. Cassie pressed her palm over her mouth. A strangled sound escaped her, half sob, half disbelief. He found me on purpose, used me to get to you. Dominic's silence answered for him. Her breath fractured in her chest. Why didn't you tell me? She whispered. Because I didn't want the truth to destroy you before you were ready. A pause, and because I thought I could end it before he came back. She stared at him, raw, wounded, wide open. So he's coming tonight, isn't he? She whispered. Dominic exhaled slowly. Yes. The word landed like a clock starting, ticking. Cassie swallowed. How long do we have? Dominic finally stepped close enough for her to feel his breath. Until sunrise, he said. After that, he won't be coming alone. A stillness filled the room, not empty, heavy. Truth, settling, cold, and irreversible. Cassie closed her eyes, and for the first time, didn't step back from him. Dominic whispered, I won't let him touch you again. But the truth between them had already drawn blood. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Not from fear, from finally letting herself feel everything she'd held back. Cassie sat on the edge of Dominic's bed, breath thin, eyes glassy, fingers twisted in the hem of her shirt like she was holding herself together. Barely. I can't. Her voice cracked. I can't keep pretending I'm fine. Dominic froze in the doorway. He had never seen her like this, not even on the night he saved her. He shut the door softly. The click echoed through the room like a lock closing on all her running. Cassie, his voice dropped, rough. Come here. She didn't move. He crossed the room slowly, as if approaching a wounded animal. A man capable of killing with his bare hands, yet treating her like she was made of breath. What happened? He asked. She swallowed hard. A tremble cut through her. My ex. He wasn't alone tonight. Dominic's jaw locked. The strongest emotional spike hit the room at once. Someone helped him find me, she whispered. Someone who knew where your men patrol, where the cameras are blind. Someone who knew your world. Dominic's pulse stuttered. She could hear it, could feel it in the silence stretching between them. Cassie pressed her palms to her eyes. I thought leaving him would end it. I thought surviving him meant I could finally breathe. But I'm just a breath hitched. I'm just dragging danger into your home. His breath punched out through his nose. You're not the danger, he said. He is. No, she whispered. I'm the reason he came back. I'm the reason he. Her voice broke entirely. I put my son at risk. I put you at risk. He stepped closer. One step, then another. Until his knees brushed hers. Look at me. She shook her head. Cassie, not a request. A vow wrapped in a voice. She finally lifted her eyes, and the confession tore out of her like a wound ripping open. I'm scared I'll lose everything again, she whispered. I'm scared I'll lose my boy. I'm scared I'll lose you. Dominic's breath stopped. Completely. Her third confession hit him harder than the truth about her ex, harder than the danger at the door, harder than any bullet he'd ever taken. He sank to one knee in front of her, not out of weakness, out of choice. "You're not losing me," he said. "Not tonight, not ever." Her breath trembled. This was the relationship-changing choice, not his. Hers. Cassie reached out hesitant, terrified, and touched the back of his hand. It was the softest touch in the world, and it changed everything. Dominic exhaled, eyes lowering to their joined hands, as if the symbol itself had transformed. "I'm staying," she whispered. "I'm done running." Silence held them in place, a held silence, a shaken silence, a new silence, the kind that only happens when fear finally yields to safety. He woke before she did. Dominic sat at the edge of the bed, elbows on his knees, head bowed. The room was dim, only a line of dawn cutting through the curtains, washing her in a soft glow. Cassie breathed slowly, finally resting like someone who wasn't waiting for the door to break open. He didn't touch her, not yet. His hands were still shaking. The last 12 hours hadn't left his body. She stirred, barely a shift beneath the blankets. "Dominic." Her voice was small, alive, safe. He exhaled for the first time in hours. "I'm here." His voice came out quieter than he intended. She pushed herself up slowly. Their eyes met, and something in her eased like her fear had been a tightened fist finally opening. "You stayed," she whispered. "I wasn't leaving you." A beat. "Not after last night." Her gaze softened. "You didn't have to stay in the room." He almost laughed on the air. "No sound. I wouldn't have slept anywhere else." Silence, stretched warm, not sharp. She brushed a loose strand of hair behind her ear, and he noticed the bruise at the side of her neck. His entire chest tightened. "Does it hurt?" he asked a little. He lifted a hand, hesitated, then let his thumb gently graze her skin. She didn't flinch. That was the softest symbol of all. "Safety returning." "He used to grab me there," she whispered. Same spot, same hand. Dominic's throat locked. Her ex was already dead in his world. He just hadn't buried the body yet. He kept his touch steady. "You're not going back to that, ever." Her eyes glistened. "Last night, you looked like you were going to kill him just thinking about him." "I was," he said simply. No apology, no shame, just truth. Another silence, softer. She drew a breath. "There's something I didn't tell you." He looked up sharply. Cassie's hands twisted in the blankets. "He didn't just hurt me, he hurt Liam too." Dominic froze. "What did he do?" She swallowed hard. "Liam wasn't crying because he missed me. He was crying because he thought, I thought," her voice cracked. "He thought his dad was coming back for him." Dominic's heart broke open quietly, violently. He cupped the side of her face slow, asking permission without words. "Cassie," he murmured, "that man will never touch either of you again. I swear it." She leaned into his palm. Fear, not obligation, choice. He felt her breath warm against his wrist as she whispered, "I believe you." That was surrender, not forced. Given. He brushed his thumb under her eye. "When you're ready, we'll talk about what comes next." She nodded, but her gaze drifted toward the door, toward the world waiting outside, toward the cost still coming. "Dominic," she asked softly, "Yeah, what if safety with you scares me a little too?" His chest tightened, but this time, not with anger. "With me," he said quietly, "you get to be scared. You just don't have to be alone." She closed her eyes for a single breath, calm, earned, fragile. When she opened them, she whispered, "What happens now?" The room was quiet, too quiet, the kind of quiet that used to terrify her. Now it only made her breathe slower. Cassie sat on the edge of the bed, the warm blanket Dominic placed around her earlier still resting on her shoulders. It used to feel like a shield. Now it felt like a truth she could no longer ignore. Dominic stood near the doorway, his posture uncharacteristically uncertain. He wasn't avoiding her, he was giving her space to speak first. A faint echo from the hallway, the soft, knock-knock sound of a guard shifting position rose, then faded into nothing. The sound that once meant danger now slipped away quietly. "Earlier, when you asked me why I stayed with him," Cassie whispered, "I didn't answer you." Dominic looked up slowly. He didn't interrupt. She took a shaking breath. "He convinced me I wasn't worth saving, that if I left, no one would want someone like me, and I believed him for a long time." Silence. Then her voice broke. "I believed him more than I believed myself." Dominic's jaw tightened, not with anger, but with something heavier, grief. For her, she finally lifted her eyes to meet his. "I needed you to know that, because You saw me differently from the moment we met, and I didn't understand why. Dominic stepped closer, slow enough that she could stop him. She didn't. You want the truth? He asked, voice low. Cassie nodded. He knelt in front of her, his palm settling gently over her knee. Not claiming, not demanding, just grounding. The reason I stepped in last night, the reason I took you in, the reason I'm still here, his voice cracked for the first time, is because I've watched people suffer in silence my whole life, and I swore to myself that if I ever had the power to stop it, I would. Cassie's lip trembled. She whispered, Dominic, you don't owe me. His eyes flickered with intensity, not anger, conviction. I owe myself something, he breathed. Not failing you. Her chest tightened, her throat burned. She remembered the first words she ever said to him. I don't want trouble. A line born from fear. Now she whispered the mirror of it, soft, trembling, transformed. I want safety, and I trust you. Dominic closed his eyes. That was his fourth confession spoken through silence, through the way his shoulders dropped, through the way he let out the breath he'd held for hours. Cassie leaned forward, resting her forehead against his. I can't pretend I'm not scared, she whispered, but I'm learning. That fear doesn't mean I have to run. And I'm learning, he murmured, that protecting you comes with a cost I'm willing to pay. The blanket warmed between them, softening like their last defenses. A quiet beat passed. Two broken people, breathing the same air. And then the question settled between them, heavy, universal, unspoken. When love grows in the shadow of danger, who decides what safety truly costs? The house is finally still. No shouting, no footsteps in the hall, no echo of danger waiting around the corner, just breath, soft, even human. Cassie stands in the doorway of Dominic's room, arms folded around herself as if she's not sure she's allowed in. He sits on the edge of the bed, bandaged, exhausted, but alive in a way he hasn't been since the night he met her. He looks up. Come here, he murmurs. She hesitates, fear twitching in her shoulders, then steps toward him, slow, quiet, as if walking into a memory that finally stops hurting. Dominic opens the blanket on his lap, same one he wrapped around her that night he promised she'd never face pain alone. The edges are torn now, stained from the chaos, but the fabric is warm. She sits beside him. The blanket falls over both their shoulders. He exhales, steadying himself. I have something to tell you. Before you ask what happens next. Cassie turns, waiting. His voice lowers. I'd been checking on Tyler for months, before I even knew your name. Your ex threatened you more times than you realized. I kept eyes on your street, because I couldn't forget you. Her breath catches. Why didn't you say anything? Because you weren't ready for someone like me. He smiles, small, tired, real. And I wasn't ready for someone like you. A silence drifts between them, soft, not fearful, full. Cassie reaches under the blanket and takes his hand. Her fingers tremble, not from fear, but from a truth settling inside her. I don't want to leave, she whispers. Dominic leans his forehead to hers. You won't? He doesn't promise safety in the world because he can't, but he promises something else, something quieter, something truer. I'll make a life where you don't have to run again, he says, where your son never has to look over his shoulder, where you can breathe without checking doors. Her eyes warm, wet, open.